Rules are rules, right? Let's get the obvious out of the way. Rules are put in place generally because some idiot or group of idiots thought it was a good idea to do something questionable. I mean, think about it: jaywalking, murder, tax evasion, racketeering, running a stop sign, abolishing slavery, mandatory car insurance, mandatory medical insurance, no loud noises in the library, white collar crime, no collar crime, lynching, literacy tests, rules of engagement, etc. The list could go on and on and on. All of these things were put in place by regular people, businesses, governments, and the like to protect civil order. Heavy air quotes on the order. I would like to consider myself a pseudo anarchist by nature. My general rule of thumb is if it's going to hurt somebody, don't do it. Seems simple enough, but not really. Not everybody shares my sensibilities. I loathe most rules. I tend to think they are arcane in a very general sense. We all know the difference between right and wrong. We can all be conscientious citizens, right? Sure. But as soon as I start to really buy into my own dogma, Florida man strikes again. Let's try not to eat each other's faces. As much as I hate to admit it, some rules are generally not made to be broken, and that's just what it is. No need to debate that. But then again, maybe we could. But what about the other side of that coin? What about the rules that need to be changed? Like weed. It's legal. Everyone smokes. It's from the earth. God put it here for us. Doctors use the stuff. Hell, it's medicinal. Plus, it's not hurting anyone. Just let her run. Conundrum has just entered the chat. A conundrum, by definition, is a difficult problem, a question that is not easily answered, a mystery. Conundrum is also used to mean an entertaining riddle with a pun for an answer. Today, more than most days, that anecdote seems very appropriate. Hello, hand, meek love. While doing a little bit of research for this pod, I came across this article, and it was pretty informative. It's from the Chicago Sun-Times. Richardson, who won the 100-meter Olympic trials for the U.S. with a 1086, talked about her ban on the Today Show. She tested positive at the Olympic trials, and so her result is erased. Fourth place finisher Jenna Prandini is expected to get Richardson's spot in the 100. Richardson accepted a 30-day suspension that ends July 27th, which will be in time to run in the women's relays. USA Track and Field has not disclosed plans for the relay. The 21-year-old sprinter was expected to face Jamaica's Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price in one of the most highly anticipated races in Olympic track meet history. Richardson had what could have been a 3-month sanction reduced to 1 month because she participated in a counseling program. After the London Olympics, international regulators relaxed the threshold for what constitutes a positive test from 15 nanograms per milliliter to 150 nanograms per milliliter. They explained that the new threshold was an attempt to ensure that in-competition use is detected and not use during the days and weeks before competition. There have been wide-ranging debates about whether marijuana should be considered a performance-enhancing drug. The U.S. Anti-Doping Agency makes it clear on its website that all synthetic and naturally occurring cannabinoids are prohibited in competition except for cannabidiol, CBD, a byproduct that is being explored for the possible medical benefits. There's a lot to unpack here, but I just want to state for the record, Shikari has some statements that were asked to her directly from the Today Show. It's worth watching if you are interested in what she says. But let's get into the rules. There's a lot of literature out there about doses, how much per gram, how long it stays in the system based off how much you smoke, etc. I was able to come away with a few very general assumptions. So I don't want to make any definitive statements about her use, regularity of said use, or when she did it in relation to the meet or the race, or whether or not she should be doing it at all. However, one thing jumped out at me about the article. Allow me to reread one specific section of this article. After the London Olympics, international regulators relaxed the threshold for what constitutes a positive test for marijuana from 15 nanograms per milliliter to 150 nanograms per milliliter. They explained that the new threshold was an attempt to ensure that in-competition use is detected and not use during the days and weeks before competition. I thought this was very interesting because I get the impression that they don't actually care about marijuana use. You could say that they do, but I get the opinion that they kind of don't, at least in a non-competitive environment. It seems that most people around the world have come to some sort of consensus that weed in moderation is virtually harmless. It doesn't give you a competitive advantage in non-competitive cycles. What I do believe is that they care about the competitive, heavy air quotes, advantage you may receive in competition. No matter who I speak with, I tend to find that most people who use marijuana recreationally use it to relax. I have zero problem with that. None. Are you hurting me? Bet. Do you, fam? However, if we are in competition and my livelihood is on the line, I might want you to be nervous. I might want you to get a little tight in the seat area. I might want you peeking over at me to see what I'm doing for warm-ups and during my training, especially if I've beaten you a few times in the past. It's a known fact that people choke all the time in competitive situations because of nerves. The only thing that I've seen that breaks people down more than nerves is fatigue. In a situation like the Olympics, where it comes around every 4 years and is the purest, heavy air quote, form of competition available to most athletes around the world, I can understand why the IOC has such stringent qualifiers for athletes. Pure competition, right? Anyone who has done any sort of training, either as a competitor or someone interested in casual fitness, has probably taken protein. They may have dabbled in taking creatine, BCAAs, recovery drinks, etc. Most of these things are known performance enhancers or provide some type of physical boost that can lead to performance enhancement. Where exactly is the line here? Are all of those substances banned during competition as well? If not, what is the legal percentages for those per milliliter? Is weed worse than those substances? I have taken or take many of the things I have named, and I can tell you that they help me in these sport-specific situations. Are they a competitive advantage? Maybe. But what if we are all taking it? Does it still provide the same competitive advantage? I don't have any specific scientific know-how to answer the questions I just posed. However, I can confidently say that weed over a specific amount is against the rules for now. Should we change the rules? Well, I guess we can discuss that in the comments.